dia a todos. Vamos então dar seguimento a este webinar. Agradecer antes de mais a vossa presença nesta sessão. Vamos ter novamente aqui uma sessão de Quest do Case, hoje focada em como esta ferramenta pode ajudar a migrar os vossos clientes ou vocês próprios para o Windows 11. E vamos ter o Ulrich, que é o nosso especialista da Quest, aqui acompanhado do Sven e do Tim, para nos ajudarem com esta apresentação. Ulrich, thank you very much again for helping us with this webinar, and Sven and Tim also. I will stop sharing and let you do your presentation. If anyone has questions, if they want to do it in Portuguese, I will then translate it to you. So no problem. Thank you very much again, and do your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Ricardo, and good morning to everyone. I'm sorry that we're not able to do this webinar in Portuguese. I hope English is okay for everyone. And as Ricardo just said, please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A feature. You find that at the bottom of the Zoom meeting to put your questions in. You can put them live during the session in, so you won't forget them. We have my colleague Timo Weberskirch. He is responsible to answer your question in the chat if you place it in English. Otherwise, if you prefer them to ask your question in Portuguese, you can do that as well. As Ricardo just said, he will be able to translate and read out your question at the end of the webinar. With me today, my colleague Sven Hein, who will show us the technical part, the live demo of it, and I will start with some slides to do the introduction. So Sven, can you jump on the next slide, please? So our agenda today, as the title already says, how to be ready for Windows 11. So that will be our big focus. But we first want to take a look in our new version, our new case UEM version 12.0, which was released in December. We'll introduce the new features and show you the changes for those who know already case. Maybe for the people who don't know case, we will also explain you, give you a rough overview what we can do. And then we start with the actual focus of this webinar today, how to migrate your Windows 10 devices safely and smoothly to Windows 11, and what is for you to consider in order to make that a successful migration. Afterwards, we will take a look at the different deployment or enrollment possibilities you have. So we have the classical way of deploying an image or a scripted installation, and we will compare that with an autopilot enrollment. So what are the things to consider here again, and what are the advantages of each deployment method? At the end, we have our IT Ninja panel of experts. So that's a moment where you can ask your questions, where we read out the questions you put in the chat. And if you want to give some comments about how you maybe, how you did that maybe already, or what are your current plans, how to do this migration. So with that, Sven, can you jump on the next slide? Maybe to start a little bit to give you an overview of what is actually Case Unified Endpoint Manager 12.0. So a lot of you might know our case system management appliance, our case system deployment appliance, and maybe also our case MDM, our modern management solution. The Case Unified Endpoint Manager is basically a combination of the traditional management side with the Case SMA, which is agent-based management, or also agentless management, combined with the modern device management side, the MDM part, and get basically the best of both worlds, the granular agent-based management, which gives us a very granular control over the devices with the new modern device management, where we have the possibility to use the features provided by Microsoft, by Apple, by Google, by Android, to manage those devices using the API, which makes it very easy and simple to manage those devices. The best of both worlds, obviously, is a combination, is a unified endpoint management of both sides. So then we will start with a little overview what is new in Case. And Sven, at this point, I will pass over to you to show us the new features in version 12 now.
Thank you very much, Uli, and welcome from my side as well. I hope you will enjoy the session today. And yeah, as Uli said, I'm the technical part today, and will show you some great stuff regarding the migration to Windows 11. But yeah, as Uli said, we start with a little overview about what new features or support we got. And the first thing is that we got now our Nutanix support. So for everyone who don't know our Case Systems Management appliance, it's an appliance-based model. We can host that in VMware and Hyper-V environments, and we are also listed in the Azure Marketplace. And we now got the Nutanix support because we can see that this vendor is more and more coming and that more customers are using that. It's in some way similar to Hyper-V and VMware. So yeah, we can now host our appliance in that environment as well. Second topic is our Azure and AWS storage support. That means for all who don't know Case, we have the possibility to do an offboard backup, so to copy our backup of the appliance where everything is stored in to an FTP or SMB share. We now got the possibility that we can also use cloud storage from Azure and AWS to copy the backup files to these side of things, and yeah, to have just a place where we have it, because if we only store it locally, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, then we got scalability enhancements. So in former appliances, we had some limitations with the maximum amount of endpoints. It was around about 10,000 devices that we could only manage with the appliance. We now got a lot of enhancements in the background, so that we are now able to manage with one appliance up to 50,000 endpoints. So massive improvements for the performance, but of course, all the customers can see that it doesn't matter if you have just a couple of hundred or 2, 3, or 5,000 nodes. Yeah, all customers see that the performance is definitely increasing, that all the tasks are performed better, especially if we speak about patching, etc. It was huge feature enhancements here. The fourth topic is that we now can suggest KB articles in our service desk part. So that means if a user is creating a ticket over our user UI, we can suggest specific KB articles here. So if I put in HTML, for example, and I have a KB article for HTML markdowns, the appliance will automatically suggest us our KB article, so it helps to help the user a little bit. Yeah, so maybe the user can help them on their own. We don't have so much calls on the first level support, so a great possibility here if you want to use the service desk or if you are already using the service desk. Another topic for our service desk part, if you are not using our service desk currently, we now have the possibility to import via CSV files tickets from external systems. So if we think about a migration of the service desk tool, we can now export those data and import it in our appliance. Of course, we need to take care a little bit because we can't import attachments right now. But I mean, the whole data of a ticket, like descriptions, title, categories, impacts, and whatever is within that ticket, we can now get it into the appliance. And last but not least, our topic for today, Windows 11. So Windows 11 is fully supported within our appliance. It is already available within our patch catalog. So that means we can patch all the Microsoft updates for Windows 11, but also, of course, third-party applications like Adobe products, Oracle, GIMP, 7-zip, and whatever. And also the feature updates are available, so we can in place upgrade our Windows 10 devices to Windows 11 that I will show you later in a live demo. So if you think about the migration, I guess maybe Uli, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, I just wanted maybe to talk about the first steps. I mean, we all know the Windows 10 feature updates. We got used to it. Every half a year, we need to consider to deploy this Windows 10 feature updates. And basically, the update, the in-place update to Windows 11 is nothing else but a feature update. Nevertheless, it is a bigger step than just installing a Windows 10 feature updates. So there are some things we should consider before we actually migrate those machines to Windows 11. And we defined that in a three-phase plan. So starting with the preparation, then the migration, and the follow-up phase. And Sven, maybe you can run through the details of each phase, what to consider to do before we do the actual migration.
Of course. So as I said, we have some steps to do, and I mean, we all know that. Yeah, we maybe did already a Windows 7 to Windows 10 migration. Yeah, this was a way bigger step than now from Windows 10 to 11. I mean, it's still an in-place upgrade, yeah, so we don't urgently need to reinstall the whole system. Yeah, we can just do the in-place upgrade. But of course, for Windows 11, we also need to prepare something. So first step is inventory. So we need to know what is running on the systems. Yeah, is our client really ready for Windows 11? I mean, you all know we have some requirements, like we need to have a specific CPU version, RAM, enough free space on the hard disk. We need the TPM module, secure boot must be enabled. Yeah, all of these things we need to check. And we can do that with the systems management appliance. We have reports for that, where we can see, okay, is something blocking the upgrade or not? This is the middle part, Windows 11 readiness check. Yeah, we need to know if our client is really ready to upgrade to Windows 11. Because for us, it is not really helping if we are just pushing the upgrade out and then we see, okay, we have a lot of issues here. Yeah? Maybe some applications are not able to be upgraded to Windows 11, whatever. Yeah, this not really helps us. So we need to know before we do the upgrade if we can do that or not. And of course, we need to inform our users. Yeah, I mean, if we are doing those kind of upgrades, we need to tell them, hey, we want to upgrade you to Windows 11. There is a little bit different UI for Windows 10. Maybe you need to train them a little bit on the new operating system. Yeah, but it's very important to inform the user that we are not just pushing out the upgrade and then they have the new Windows and don't know what to do then.
Probably also to consider the timing aspect of that. And you probably come to this point in the next step that obviously this feature update is a big update, that you time that to a specific period when you want to roll it out and to whom you want to roll it out.
Exactly. So we speak about an update with 3, 4, 5 gigabyte disk usage. So we need to definitely prepare the migration. I mean, if we have clients in our internal network, it's maybe not a big problem to download it and directly upgrade to a newer build. But if we speak about home office users, external users, yeah, wherever they are, we maybe need to take care about their internet bandwidth, and we maybe need to prepare and pre-seed those files. So we can synchronize those files that I will show you later in the live demo as well. And once they are locally available, we then can upgrade the client to Windows 11 because then it's a way faster upgrade, and yeah, we don't lose that much time, and the user have less impact on their work. At the end, as I said, we need to follow up. I mean, we still need to patch those systems. Yeah, we need to prove our security levels, our vulnerabilities. Yeah, I mean, Windows 11 also has vulnerabilities, has also available patches. As I said, we fully support Windows 11. And so we can run patch schedules after the upgrade to keep the client on the newest patch level. We can scan those clients for vulnerabilities. I mean, we all know the log4j vulnerability from the last weeks. Yeah, we can check for these vulnerabilities as well. And of course, try to fix that with updates or yeah, uninstall Java, for example. And verify asset data. I mean, if we want to reinstall a system to Windows 11, maybe the user is getting a new client. Yeah, so we need to edit our asset data to yeah, assign the right clients to the user, to assign the right location to it. Yeah, so we need to take care about that as well.
And probably, Sven, also one big part is for many customers the Bitlocker encryption, so to verify that this is also active and that the disks are encrypted.
Exactly. I will show that data in the live demo as well, and at the end we need to support all of this. Yeah. So as I said, maybe we need to offer some training sessions for the users for the new Windows 11 GUI. Yeah, things like that we need to support, and of course, if there are issues during the upgrade, we also need to take care about that. This is why it is so important to check before if my client is ready or not, because then we can make sure that the client is really ready to upgrade, and that we don't have that much issues here.
Maybe one more point here. You were talking about knowledge base articles before. Probably also makes sense, since there is a change in user interface, to create a specific knowledge base article for the users as well. Absolutely.
So there are a lot of options, and how it looks like, we will have a look to that now. So yeah, as I said, with the systems management appliance, it's an agent-based model here. So we need to install an agent on the client systems to get informations out of it and to manage the whole system. And if I have a look to one of my systems, as we said, yeah, we want to handle specific things, especially if Bitlocker is enabled, or as I said, the Windows 11 readiness check. Yeah, we need to have a look to that one. So for example, here we are getting informations from Bitlocker. So we can see if the protection is on and if the hard disk is really encrypted. So if that is the case, of course, before the upgrade, we can suspend the Bitlocker. Or if it is not enabled, it's great for us in case of the upgrade, but it's not great for us in general, yeah, because we need to make sure that Bitlocker is enabled on all my laptops, for example. Because if the laptop is stolen or lost or whatever, we don't want that someone else has access to my data. Yeah? And so here we can make sure if the protection is off or the hard disk is not encrypted, we can automatically run based on these information scripts that are enabling the Bitlocker and that the hard disk will be encrypted. And a really great thing is that we have our custom inventory fields where we can extend our default inventory, where we can get the recovery key also back into the inventory. So we don't need to store that within Azure or the AD or wherever in a text file. Yeah? We have all the informations that we need regarding the Bitlocker available here within the appliance, within one place. So if a user needs that, we can just give them the recovery key to update a BIOS or whatever, and that's it. Another thing is what I told you before, that we need to check our clients if they are ready or not. So there are different options. We have a tool from Windows or from Microsoft that we can use with the SMA, where we are getting some results if a client is ready to upgrade to Windows 11 or not. We also have our own pre-check scripts, so different options to check that. I'm using my own script here that is also available on our IT Ninja community. So if you are interested in that one, just feel free to write us an email. Our contact details will show up at the end of that presentation. But yeah, here you can see, for example, I had checked one of my VMs. I disabled the TPM module. So my pre-check scripts are telling me, okay, my TPM version is, something is wrong with that, yeah. The blocking type is hard. That means that I can't upgrade to Windows 11 right now. So if TPM version, for example, like this here, is within our pre-check, we know, okay, we maybe need to enable the TPM version. And this is also something that we can do with the SMA, because here within our hardware section, normally within our hardware section, let me shortly go back to my other client, we see the TPM module. So we can check if a TPM module is currently there. I mean, on the other client, I have disabled it, so it's not showing up here. But I have my TPM information here, so I can also filter, okay, show me all the clients that don't have TPM enabled, where it is disabled, whatever, yeah. So I can figure out a lot of clients then maybe where I can enable the TPM module. And as I said, on Dell, HP and Lenovo clients, for example, we can run automatic scripts to enable those features within the BIOS, because all vendors have kind of tools where we can do that with, so that we don't need to go to each client and enable it on everyone. Of course, we can also run reports here. So if I go back to my local appliance, if I go to my reports, I mean, we always need to check our informations here, and especially within our custom inventory. As I said, the pre-check script is running. I can run that on all my clients, and then I can run a report here to see, okay, which clients are able to upgrade to Windows 11 and which clients are not. As I said, here are all informations. Then if there is an application that is blocking the upgrade, it will be listed here. If it is a driver, it will be listed here. Yeah. Doesn't matter which it is, we are checking that. And then you have a great report here and an overview about all the clients that are able or not able to upgrade to Windows 11. Yeah, if we know that our clients are able to upgrade, we can then go to our security part. As I said, our catalogs are fully supported for Windows 11, so all patches, feature upgrades, etc. are available. So if I go to my catalog here and scroll down, of course, we still have support for all the Windows 10 upgrades. So if you don't want to go to Windows 11, you can also upgrade to the latest Windows 10 upgrade. But as you can see here, we have also both Windows 11, but please take care. If you are using x86 clients, this is not supported in Windows 11 anymore, as you can see that here. Windows 11 is only supported for x64 systems. As you can see here, Windows 10 is still available for 32 and 64-bit systems, but Windows 11 don't have that option anymore. It's only 64-bit available. If we now want to upgrade our systems, we have different options. I mean, all the customers that already know Case knows that we have our schedules, we have different actions, but all who don't know Case, I will show you a little bit how it goes here. So I have 3 different schedules here. And of course, you can create multiple schedules. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it is a schedule for different locations, for different departments, different IP ranges. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, you can create so much schedules for your scenarios here. Yeah, in my case, it's just 3. I first just detect if that update is missing or not. Yeah, so that means I can add a group of devices or single devices to just check if that update is available or not. And if I have a look to my VM here, I see, okay, it's not installed, so it is available. If I go back, as I said before, if we maybe have external devices, we maybe want to stage those files. Yeah, we don't want to push the upgrade, and in that case, it will all download the files from the appliance and then upgrade. Yeah, it needs some time. I will stage it before. So here we have a separate schedule where I can add to schedules every hour, every day, every week, every month, doesn't matter. I can again add my devices here, and here it says now it is not installed, of course, because we detected that it is missing, and we staged the files. So if I have a look to my client here, I will do it a little bit bigger. We have a program data path here with Quest KACE, KPD. This is our case patch path where all the case patch signatures and source files are included. And here you can see that the in-place upgrade file for Windows 11 is synchronized. Yeah, so it's locally available. And in case of an upgrade, the agent will look to those paths here. We'll have a look, okay, are these files locally available or not? And if yes, it will use these local files. Yeah, so it makes the upgrade much faster. And yeah, we can just simply synchronize these files. Yeah, we don't need a lot of bandwidth for that. It's pretty easy to handle, and then it's synchronized here and we can use it. So if I go back, I have, of course, a deployment job, and I can run it now. With that deployment job, I can also choose specific notifications. Yeah, so I can notify the user about the upgrade. I can do it completely silently. It depends on what you want to do. We can also notify about the reboot. We can force the reboot. We can do not a reboot, but I mean, what is the agent doing here? We will see later a notification here about the upgrade that is starting. And then the agent is preparing the whole upgrade in the background. So there's, first of all, no impact for the user. The user can still work in their office files, etc. So here you can see it, notification, yeah, Windows 11 upgrade. Of course, I want to do that. And now, as I said, yeah, the user can still browse in their websites. It doesn't really matter, yeah. It's just preparing in the background everything that the installation needs, yeah. Of course, I didn't choose that here. I'm sorry, it's a German system, but no. But yeah, as you can see, I can do whatever I want, yeah. No impact on the client so far. The impact starts if we get the notification to reboot the client, because in case of the reboot, the Windows in-place upgrade will start. Yeah. So then every files will be installed. Yeah. We will see the getting started things, yeah, like choose a language, etc. Of course, we can automate that as well. But most of the things are already set in Windows 10, so Windows 11 will just use the existing settings. So this will take a while. So let's go back here. Of course, we can still have a look to that one. Yeah. So if I go back to my schedule here, I can see that my client is executing the upgrade currently. We can also see if a reboot is needed or if it's paused. Yeah. Maybe if a user can't run the upgrade now and snoozed it, yeah, we will see that as well. And we have also a second option to upgrade to the newest build. We have an on-demand schedule. That means within our case tray icon, the user has the possibility to right-click on that and choose that feature upgrade manually. Of course, we can also force that at some point. So we can tell the user, hey, you now have 3 days left to upgrade to Windows 11. If you are not doing that in that time frame, we will force after 3 days the upgrade, so that it will be definitely installed, because I mean, we as IT admins need to make sure that those updates will be installed on the systems, and we can't wait weeks or months to do that. Yeah, so we always have options to force that upgrade as well. Yeah, so I guess we will go to our presentation back. And then we will continue with the autopilot enrollment. I don't know, Uli?
Yes, exactly. So my part again, and so if we take, we saw now how we can deploy the in-place upgrade with the feature update function within the SMA, but there's also another way. If we have new devices, for example, and we need to deploy them, we need to enroll them. So obviously we have the classical approach, deploying machines using an image or a scripted installation. But many of you know there is now this new feature from Microsoft called Autopilot. which brings a lot of really interesting functionality and flexibility, especially when users are working in their home office. If I don't want to have this step in between to get a new machine sent to the company to deploy this image and then send it back out to the user, maybe to his home office or to another site. So it's quite a lot of steps in between, and Autopilot can help us to make this process much easier and quicker. And I will come into some details how this process will look like in the next slide. But first of all, I want to yes, thank you. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the requirements, because for Autopilot, you actually would need to have an Azure Active Directory subscription, P1 or P2. So this subscription allows autopilot deployment, or enrollment it's called, and it allows to join those machines to an Azure domain. From a device perspective, those devices need to be at least on Windows 10 or higher, so can be Windows 11 now as well, obviously. So as I already explained, the purpose of that, why would we enroll devices using Autopilot, is that we can order a device, send it directly to the user, to his home office. The user gets a box, opens it, gets the device on, turns it on, connects to the internet, and can directly log on with his Azure Active Directory account, accept the term of use, and is ready to go. And that is what we're going to show you just afterwards. So it is a very easy step to do that. And as I said, it avoids the step in between that those devices need to be deployed in your company with an image. You can send it directly to your user at home. So Sven, can you jump on to the next slide, please?
Of course.
So just to explain this step a little bit more in detail how that works. So let's say you're the responsible IT admin, and you want to order new devices for your employees. So those devices are ordered, let's say, at one of the big vendors, at Dell, HP, Lenovo, and you can order them directly with an Autopilot registration. So meaning those devices are directly registered within your Azure tenant for Autopilot. You could also go the step, let's say, the important CEO lost his device somewhere on his business trip and he buys a new device. So you could also register any kind of device yourself in Azure for Autopilot enrollment. So what happens once you order that device? It will be directly shipped to the employee. He unboxes the device, logs in with his Active Directory, Azure Active Directory credentials. This device gets self-provisioned through Case MDM and gets all the configuration you defined and is joined to the Azure Active Directory domain. And applications are deployed, and let's say also our Case SMA agent is deployed, which then controls the device and can be patched, and further applications will be deployed using the SMA. The same process is obviously also available for existing devices. All the devices with Windows 10 we just saw can be registered in Azure Active Directory for Autopilot enrollment, and those devices can then be enrolled through Autopilot. So that would be the process. It looks very complicated here on the image, but it is a very easy process for the user. He basically just needs to unbox his device and log in on his new device. So Sven, with that, can you show us how that actually looks like in case?
Absolutely. So yeah, I have prepared one of my VMs here. Again, Windows 11 is fully supported also in our mobile device manager. And as already said, we can still provide both options. Yeah, so the traditional way of deploying an image or an ISO file to a system, I mean, it still is definitely something that we need. Yeah, so we have still a lot of customers that have really restricted networks where a cloud solution like our MDM is not really allowed or have some restrictions. Yeah, so it sometimes makes sense to use our appliance. It's the system deployment appliance where we can automate those operating system enrollments. But our MDM can be also connected to autopilot. I started the OOBE here, so I just choose my language because afterwards Windows is a little bit checking for new updates and just connecting to the autopilot in the background. But you can see here already that it's not a standard login interface. Yeah, so here's already my Quest logo that came from my MDM, and now I need to log in with my Azure credentials. I'm very sorry, it's really, really slow, but I can't really do it bigger. But I just typed in my account name, my username, and my password if I'm not doing it wrong. So I logged in now, and now the client is again checking against our MDM what's happening, and this is also something that came from our MDM now. Yeah, so the autopilot, let's say it's just a connector. Yeah, so it will connect the client from wherever on the world, yeah, over the internet to an MDM solution. Yeah, in that case, it's our MDM. So I added my terms of use here. That case MDM is always the best. I accept that. And now the device is checking in.
And Sven, this case logo we saw on the upper right hand, I think you can also change that logo to a company logo.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. It's a customizable logo field there where you can add whatever logo you want. Yeah, it's just I mean, in my case, I always use my case logo, but yeah, you can always change it to your company one. So now Windows is preparing some things. It's, as I said, it's already connected to our MDM. So everything that I have prepared for that device from our MDM will come now to that device. And how that looks like, I will show you that a little bit here. So as I said, our MDM solution is not like an appliance. It's a software as a service solution running in the cloud. For Europe, it's running in the Netherlands, in the Azure Data Center Europe West. And every customer is getting his own tenant. Yeah, so own environment, everything is encrypted with the Azure defaults. And so everything that you will store within that MDM tenant, like your users or your devices, are only stored within Europe here and within your tenant. As you can see, we not only support Windows, of course, we also support iOS, Android, macOS, and Apple tvOS. But for now, we will have a look to our Windows devices. And of course, we can do some stuff over the MDM. So for example, if I go to my library and to my apps, I can, for example, deploy our case agent, yeah, for the case SMA that I have showed you before. So this is something that we can do. We can deploy some default stuff, but here we can see that with the modern way of management of Windows, we still have some restrictions. So for example, we can only deploy MSI files. Yeah, so setup executables are not possible within the MDM. This is why we always combining our SMA with MDM to have both words linked together so that we can use the modern word because it's at some point a bit easier to handle. Yeah? But that we have still the full functionality within our SMA with patching, with full software deployment capabilities. It doesn't matter within the SMA what we want to deploy. We can deploy executables, MSIs. We can just copy an application to somewhere on the client. Yeah, if we don't have a full installer, doesn't really matter. Yeah, we can do everything with the SMA. But here, as I said, with the MDM, we are only deploying MSI files. We can also configure the Bitlocker encryption. That is also possible. We can deploy VPN Wi-Fi profiles, but for me, the important thing is the custom profiles here, because this is the new way of Microsoft, where Microsoft wants to replace at some point the group policies. And I guess this is a really, really important topic for everyone, because I mean, during Corona, yeah, we had a lot of home office workforce, a lot of external devices, and it was kind of complicated to apply security policies to those devices. I mean, of course, if we have a VPN connection, it's a bit easier, but we can still not apply everything to those devices over the GPOs. Yeah, and with that custom profiles here, it's called CSP policy support within Microsoft. That is also well documented on the Microsoft TechNet. We have possibilities to cover GPO functionalities over the MDM. And as you can see, we can, for example, create a local admin account. We just need to add the library here and choose our values. Yeah, we don't need to script something with PowerShell or with a batch script. We can just add those libraries here, local admin password, put in our password, local user group value, and that's it. And those kind of things, those examples are also documented on the Microsoft TechNet. So again, if you are interested in that, feel free to write us an email or write Ricardo an email, yeah, and we will provide the links to you so that you can have a look to it. But we can do other stuff as well. Hide shutdown options for specific clients, disable specific services. And as you can see, it's not that complicated. We just need to know the library. That is, again, very well documented on the Microsoft side. So we just need to search for gaming service, for example, and then it will provide us this library. We choose the data value, and that's it. And then we can just link it to one of our policies and push it out to the clients. Disable Windows updates. Yeah, if we use the SMA to push the updates out, we don't want that Windows Update is searching on their own for new updates. We want to disable that. Pretty easy process here. So a big benefit, as I said, only the MDM solution can't really manage the full system, but we have some topics, especially the custom profiles here, that are big benefits in my eyes. But we still have the SMA with full management capabilities. So just link both products, yeah. And if we link the products, it's also pretty great because we are getting the devices that I have enrolled within the MDM back into the inventory of the SMA here. So you can see here, for example, let's go down. Here it is, my Android phone, for example. It's an Android 11. It came from the Case Cloud Mobile Device Manager. I have it in here. But I have also the overview about my devices. It's this one, I guess. So my Windows devices that are co-managed. So here I can see I have installed an agent on it, and it is enrolled in the Case Cloud Mobile Device Manager. So I have some actions here as well. So I can also choose some quick actions from the MDM within the SMA inventory. As you can see, I can clear passcode on a mobile phone, for example. I can factory reset the device. I have specific OS settings here, like update the OS on iOS, macOS, or clean the PC on Windows. So a lot of stuff that we can also run out of the SMA here, so where we don't need to go on the portal of the MDM. But yeah, and then we have the full inventory overview here about all our devices. And for each device, there is an asset in the background where I can add additional information to that assets, like who is the owner, location, and whatever is needed. And this makes it pretty interesting because we have both worlds, we have both connected. We have one appliance here where we have all clients included. So pretty great capabilities to have a great overview about what we have or not. If we have a look back to our autopilot client, we need to configure Windows Hello then to configure a pin here. I need to factor. 1 second. I mean, we are all secure. We are all using two-factor. We all know that. So here we go. And yeah, so we need to set up a pin to log into my clients. And the great thing here is if I choose 1, 2, 3, 4, I hope you can see it a little bit. I can't choose 1, 2, 3, 4, for example, because Windows is forcing you to have a bit more complicated pin code. So things like 1111, 1234 or so are not allowed. So I need to choose a pin that is not that simple. And then we are finished here and good to go. And during that process, the MDM is already pushing out in the background the applications, etc. It doesn't matter if the user needs 1 minute or an hour for that process in the background, everything will be installed. And we maybe need to wait a little bit. So I need to log off and log on again, and then it is big enough to you to see it. But it already installed 7-zip, for example. It already installed our case agent. It already enforced some custom profiles. So if I go here to my start menu, 7-zip is showing up here. If I go to my Explorer, I go to my C program files x86. Here's my Quest KACE agent. So all of these applications are already installed in the background. It's pretty fast process. Of course, I mean, if I have 50 applications that I need to install, it needs some time. I mean, we all know that. But it's a pretty fast process in the background. And as I said, it already started if we log in with our Azure account. If we accepted the terms of service, then it will start to install everything in the background. The user can choose his PIN, and then the user, in best case, is ready to go to directly work with that client here. Just a little one at the end. As I said, we have policies for that. So we have a default policy that will be applied to all enrolled devices, where we can set up some default settings like the SMA agent or enforce a passcode on mobile devices. But as you can see, again, you can customize everything. So you can add your own policies. You can add groups of devices or single devices to those policies. We can schedule those policies. If we say, okay, during the morning between 8 and 12, we don't want to apply something or deploy something to the clients, no problem, we can do that. But as you can see here, I can, for example, go to my apps. I have all apps that I have added to the library. And if I want to deploy the case agent, I just need to link that to the policy. That's it. Then I can push those changes. I will unlink that so that I not deploy something to my colleagues. But yeah, it's a pretty easy process. And as you can see, I mean, of course, we all need to know how it is going. We can do a demo for you if that is needed. You can test all the products here. So then we will show you how it works in your environment as well. And then it's a pretty easy and simple product, I guess, to use. And everything that you need to do is possible with that, especially also with mobile phones to deploy apps, certificates, Wi-Fi VPN, all restriction sets. If we don't want that private apps have access to business apps, for example, we can restrict that. So this kind of stuff is possible with the MDM. Yeah, I would say.
Sven, maybe one question as we still have a little bit of time. Would I also see if a device doesn't fulfill my policy? So if it's not compliant to my policies?
Of course. So we have a compliance status. It's a great question because we are also synchronizing the status of those clients back to Azure. So if you want to use conditional access, for example, within your Azure tenant, you can do that because we can see in Azure if a Windows device is compliant or not. So here we have a little symbol. And if I go to my policies, for example, to the summary, we can see here it is in compliance. So it installed everything. And if I go to my own tenant, I need to log in shortly. We can also see that this device is currently installing something, or maybe it's not in compliant because something is missing. So if we go here, so this is if it is out of compliance. So this status is also within Azure, as I said. So if we have set up conditional access, for example, where we say, okay, if a device is not compliant, it should not have access to Outlook, for example, it would be blocked now. So if I look to my compliance, I can see, okay, both are installed, but maybe I need to wait for a new inventory. So I need to check that. But yeah, so this status will be sent to the Azure back, and then we can use those kind of additional features as well within your Azure tenant. Yeah, and I guess with that, we are going back to the presentation shortly. Just a little wrap up here on the deployments versus enrollment with Autopilot. So you can scan the QR code here. This is a TechNet community blog post where Microsoft is explaining when you should use Microsoft Autopilot. Here you can see a little table, a little comparison. So Microsoft is recommending Autopilot in Azure AD only. But I mean, we all know, we all have our on-prem environments. Of course, maybe we have some services already in the cloud, or maybe moving completely to the cloud, but we also can use it in a hybrid environment. Yeah? So in hybrid Azure AD environments, where I have my on-premise AD and also my Azure AD, I can also use Autopilot. Yeah? We don't have a lot of customers. Of course, if I have a new startup or so, I maybe have only my Azure AD, but in all existing environments, it's not the case that we only have Azure. Of course, some customers already moved completely to the cloud, but it's not that always the case. So if you have a hybrid Azure environment, you can also use Autopilot. As Uli said before, we have some requirements for the Azure subscription that we need to fulfill. And afterwards, we can use those services and can join the Azure domain. We can also join our on-prem AD clients to that Azure domain. Yeah, so different options available here to do that. Yeah, and at the end, we have our panel of experts. I had seen that there are some questions in the chat box. I don't know, is there something that we need to answer verbally, or is something answered already in the chat box?
I saw a few questions in Portuguese coming in here, and I saw Ricardo, you answered, I think, already a few of those questions, and Timo as well. But is there anything you want to maybe read out loud so we can answer this question for everyone?
This will be, yeah. Sure,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, sorry. It was more related with the price of the software. Fernando was asking if it was free or if he had any costs, and Timo already answered it. So I think we are fine. So
that is a great question, maybe for everyone, just to explain how our licensing model works. So license is per device. So we showed you two parts of the solution. It's our case system management appliance for the traditional management part. So this is license per device, and you saw also the MDM part, which would also require license per device. So pretty easy and straightforward.
So, se alguém tiver mais alguma questão, pode colocar. Vou aqui tentar. Eu vou aqui dar para, se quiserem fazer unmute, eu estou agora a dar aqui permissões aqui no chat. Por isso, quem quiser fazer alguma questão pode colocar, pode fazer unmute ou colocar pelo chat. I was just saying I was giving permission to everybody to unmute. So if they want to do any question, ask any question, or they can do it in the chat. I'm not seeing anyone asking, but Ulrich and Sven, Timo, thank you. It was a very good webinar, very informative. So thank you very much for your presentation.
No problem. Maybe just shortly, we have 2 slides left, just 2 little ones.
Okay, go ahead.
It's just one where I spoke about before a little bit, Log4j vulnerabilities. Yeah. If you have problems with that, I mean, you need to discover all the clients that may be affected by that vulnerability, because it's a huge one. Just scan that QR code. It's there is a webcast, an on-demand webcast. Yeah, this is a recorded session from Timo, where he explained how we can help with our SMA to discover those systems and secure them again. Yeah, so please feel free to have a look to that webinar. It's a pretty great one. And as I said before, at the end, just our contact details. If you have any questions, if you need a demo, if you need pricing, whatever, of course, Ricardo is the first one. But if you have also technical questions to Timo and me, just feel free to reach out to us, and we try to help you whenever we can.
Yeah, and if you like what you saw, obviously everything is also possible to test. So we can support you within a proof of concept, a test scenario. So just let us know or let Ricardo know, and we are happy to assist you with that. With that, I want to thank you very much for your interest and your participation in our webcast today. And yeah, hope to hear from you soon. And I wish you a nice day.
Thank you everyone. Muito obrigado pela vossa presença mais uma vez. Depois esta versão foi gravada e vai ser partilhada convosco. Ulrich, Sven, Timo, thank you very much for your help once again, and
thank you too.
we'll be in touch if anyone has any questions or requests to them or something. But thank you very much.
Thank you too. Have a nice day. Take care.
Bye bye.